Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We are into 9 days to the NFL draft. Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni did talk earlier today. We'll have some audio for you a little bit later on. A lot of word salad kind of stuff. The one thing they did get asked was about the nature of Dallas Goedert and the approach going into the draft. And, Roseman said, hey, the way we look at the draft, kind of a separate entity. We'll see what ends up happening with Goedert, if he ends up getting moved or not. That will be one of the stories leading up to the draft. We've talked a lot about that with Adam Caplan. He joins us right now for another edition of Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Welcome back, Adam. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, Mike, that is true. Just so people understand, Dallas Goedert being on the Eagles has zero impact on what they're going to do in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth round. If there's a tight end they like at 32, or if they trade up, they'll take one. That's just the way it is. Remember now, Goedert is 30, terrific player, but hurt a lot, big injury history. As we understand it, they have no interest at this point in extending this deal. As we first reported, they gave him permission to seek a trade. They've talked to a number of teams, and that's where it stands. Now, if he's still with the team, great. But he's on the FlyEaglesFly deal. The draft is about the future. So if Loveland makes it, for instance, late 20s and the Eagles trade up, they'll get him. That's just the way it is. They need a future tight end, Mike. They're great with backups. That they've addressed the position quite a bit this offseason, but they don't have a starter if Goedert's traded for the future as well.
All right, let me ask you this question real quick before we get into some other things. You mentioned trade. The tight end in this offense is like the fourth option, right?
I know.
Are you giving up value to move up for a guy who's very low on the priority list in terms of touches?
No, Mike, it's a good point. In terms of the pass target tree, it's Brown 1, Smith 2, and then, you have to decide who's going to be 3. Because and by the way, with Barkley,
Yeah, we lost Adam. He just vanished. We'll have to check out his phone connection. That's rare with Adam. We never really have a phone problem there with Adam Caplan. Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We'll have to maybe try to reconnect with him. That's the one thing. I don't think that the Eagles would not take a tight end. What I think is, would they take a tight end that they have to trade a lot of capital to go up and get? So I think they're going to take a tight end. There's no breaking news there. They need a tight end. They'll take a tight end. I'm more inclined to think it would be in the second round that they would take the tight end. I don't know that they're going to say, hey, we're going to give up whatever we have to give up to move up to an era. Now, I saw a mock draft. I know the people who think that the Eagles are going to take Tyler Warren. I know there's a lot of hope for that, the Penn State kid, who's really good, by the way. I've seen him getting drafted in the top 10 for most mock drafts. So for the Eagles to do something like that, they would have to somehow here's a mock draft right here. Tyler Warren, number 10. The Eagles, I don't think, and Adam can maybe back me on this, I don't see the Eagles getting all the way up to number 10 to take Tyler Warren. I do think they might try to get one of the other guys. I think trying to get Warren is a little bit out of their reach, most likely.
Yeah, Mike, I agree with you. Yeah. Now, Colston Loveland is the other tight end who most likely will go after Warren. I know multiple teams that actually have Loveland over Warren, but Warren's the more well-rounded tight end. And the thing is, Mike, getting back to your original point, which is a really good one, how much does a pass-catching tight end really mean to the Eagles in the first round? Probably not a whole lot. The guy's got to be able to block. And Dallas Goedert is an all-around tight end. He can block. In fact, I remember talking to one of their coaches when they drafted him after their first couple training camp practices. Goedert came in there block well right away, which he wasn't really asked to do a lot at South Dakota State. So they need that guy. There's no question. They need somebody who can block at that tight end position. But but again, Mike, if one of those two tight ends, there's only going to be two going in the first round, makes it very close, that would be a trade-up candidate. Now, I know this draft, I've got Mike, just to let your people know, I've got somewhere between 10 and 12 true first-round grades given out this year with clubs. That's really low. Typically, it's 15 to 22. Now, as even Howie from today, there's certainly not 32 first-round grades given out. That gives you a little bit of a hint, Mike. 32 picks will be made, but not that there are not that many good players, unfortunately, in the first round.
Yeah, so we'll see what they end up doing there. But tight end, certainly something we've talked about a while, that they need another tight end. Even if they keep Goddard, that they've needed depth at that position. They've had all sorts of guys. Jack Stoll and Grant Calcaterra, those are guys that are really one-dimensional tight ends. They need more of a well-rounded.
Stoll's gone, yeah. Stoll's gone. He's with the Saints.
Stoll signed away with the Saints. But I was just talking about guys who have been here for a while.
Correct.
All right, let's get into where we are with the division right now, the NFC side of things. Pre-draft, as these teams 9 days in, let's look at this NFC East race, and we know no team has won the division back-to-back since 2004, as everybody's chasing the Eagles in that division. Yep. How wide open or closed is this division?
Mike, it's interesting. If you look at the odds, right? I like looking at these odds because sometimes, look, the odds makers have it right. They have the second strongest divisional odds in the NFL. They're minus 140 to win the NFC East. The Commanders are plus 195. So if you're better, plus 195 is not bad. Cowboys are plus 750. Nobody believes in them, and really nobody believes in the Giants at plus 2,200. So. Because if you take the Eagles, if you're $100 better, you got to give them $140 to get $100 back. So plus your bet back. So the Eagles are certainly a strong favorite. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this because I want to talk about this after the draft. So now you and I are talking 9 days before the draft. Let's see what happens after the draft. Probably when we talk that Tuesday, Mike, at the end of April. Let's see. Are they going to be minus 200, 240? Are the Commanders going to be? Are their odds even narrower? Are they plus 100? Well, that's how the draft can change things. Now, I would love to know, and maybe I should probably look this up. I'm just very curious what the divisional odds were last year coming out of the draft. Because did anyone really think? Although Jeff and I on our show we were very high on Jane Daniels, who the heck knew that the Commandos would be this good? So I'm very curious to see what their odds were coming out of the draft last season.
I would be too. That was the one team where I said if the quarterback is their version of C.J. Stroud, that they would be a candidate for a surprise, and he ended up being, I guess, somewhat C.J. Stroud-ish. They got their guy, Dallas, plus 750. The Giants. Do you think the Giants will take Sanders at 3?
No, I know that it's been reported that they're going to have a private workout with him. That's fine. That's fine. Here's what I will tell you. He certainly would not be a good value there, Shedeur Sanders at 3. When you look at the Giants situation, so the general manager and head coach are clearly in the hot seat. I mean, you don't need to be Nostradamus to figure that one out. If they take Sanders, that clearly would tell you that they've got the backing of ownership to develop a quarterback the slow way, because they've got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston to handle it this year, unless they're if they're out of the playoff race by Thanksgiving, that's when you can go to the young quarterback. So that would tell you, wow, that they would really have the support to do that. Whereas if they go with Abdul Carter, who's, to me, I mean, that right now would be my favorite to go at 3, you're still taking the best player, by the way. He would be the best. Travis Hunter will go at 2. That would be the right decision. Now, again, could they trade down? This is not a the top 20 is not where you trade down. It's hard. You'd love to do it if you're the Giants, but the value is just not there. Again, this is not a good first round, particularly in the top 20.
Yeah. Let's go to the North, where the Lions, they openly, one of the players, Amon-Ra St. Brown, said, we think we would have beat the Eagles. We want to play the Eagles on that first game. So the Lions, this is a wide open division. There is nobody in the division with minus odds right here. You cannot get everybody in this division. You're getting plus money, including Detroit.
See, if you're a futures player, right, Mike? I've always said this on SportsGrid with Scott Farrell. You got to get in early. My number one play last year was the Steelers over 7.5 wins, which with Scott's a Steelers fan, so he and I kind of laughed at that one. We never thought the Steelers were a very good team, but Mike Tomlin never had a losing record. So how in the world are you coming up with that, with them having less than 9 wins? So they shattered that pretty easily. Now, if you look at the NFC North, the Lions are plus 135. Here's why. The Packers are good every year, but I've deemed them my most annoying team. They're always good, and then they fizzle in the playoffs. Matt LaFleur is a bad playoff coach. He's an excellent regular season coach. He's kind of like the Lamar Jackson of coaches, right? Yeah. Can't win the playoffs. It just can't. Lamar's record is not good in the playoffs. So the Packers are plus 275. Lions are plus 135. Now, the Lions will address their pass rush problem. They're going to get Aiden Hutchinson back. They had a cornerback problem. They had injuries there. They know this. This will be somewhat of a defensive draft. Vikings are plus 400. They're getting J.J. McCarthy back. They expect him to be their starter. And the Bears are getting a little respected at plus 425 with Ben Johnson as their head coach and play caller.
All right, Adam, let's go to the South, which is wide open, it seems like, every year. But it feels like the Buccaneers have kind of grabbed this thing a little bit. They've kind of pushed everybody down the list a little bit. The Saints have a new coach. It probably looks like a new quarterback. The Panthers have been a disaster. But the odds in the South actually say the Saints might be worse than the Panthers now.
Yeah, these odds are interesting. So, not surprisingly, the Bucs, who are pretty much since Tom Brady was their quarterback, that they seem to win the division just about every year. The plus 100, and I like them, by the way. I think that they will win that NFC South based on where they're at. They need some pieces in their secondary, no question about that. They need another pass rusher, but their offense should be very good. The only problem there is they got another new play caller. It's crazy. 3 straight years of a different play caller on offense. Falcon Lennox at quarterback, who you mentioned, they're plus 240. The Panthers getting some respect at plus 400. That I looked at it twice at the books that I looked at them. No, they're plus 400. Bryce Young ended the season pretty well, so obviously the money is where the Panthers are getting a little bit of respect with Bryce Young playing better. The Saints are plus 1,000. Some uncertainty with Derek Carr's shoulder issue. They're a train wreck. The Saints they're so mediocre. But Kellen Moore's their head coach. He decided not to stay with Eagles, to take that head coaching job. I don't blame him. That's life-changing money. Certainly understand that. He'll make more this year as a head coach of the Saints than he did ever as an NFL player, Mike, for his total career. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him
let's finish up today looking at the NFC side, and we'll go to the West, where this thing was wide open. The Niners, the Rams, who won the division last year. Seattle has changed quarterbacks. The Cardinals, they look like a team that's kind of, on the way up here. So this is another interesting division where every single team plus money.
Yeah, Mike, it's fascinating. The Niners this is a tough division. Now, I know people got on me. Jeff and I did a show. We did a power ranking show, and people are like out of my mind saying, how could you not have the Rams win the division? How could you not have them as a playoff team? Well, Mike, if you really look at their roster, you might struggle and say, well, why are they so good? Why are they so competitive? Really good coaching. Not a great roster. They're really weak at corner. Pass rusher's okay. Line is just okay. They have Devontae Adams. We'll see what he's got left. He turns 32 later this year. Cooper Kupp no longer there. They're a nice team. I think they're right on the fringe of being a playoff team. The Niners are plus 135 to win that division. I know that they had a lot of roster change, a lot of roster turnover. I expect them to have a very good draft. Rams are plus 175. The Seahawks, the Seahawks have a nice roster. You mentioned the quarterback change, Sam Darnold. And then they're plus 550. If you're looking for a long-range sleeper team, that would be the Seahawks. Check their draft out. And the Cardinals are plus 600 with Jonathan Gannon now in his 3rd year.
All right, there you go. There's a look at some of the odds pre-draft, and, of course, we'll revisit those after the draft and see how much the draft really affects these odds. How much does it make these teams move? The Eagles are the only team in the NFC where you can get where you don't get very good value. They are minus 140. I can tell you a little preview of the AFC. 1, 2, 3 teams in the AFC have minus numbers to you don't make a lot of money if you bet them, in other words. So the Eagles are a heavy favorite in the NFC. They're the only team in the NFC that has that. Adam Caplan, Football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast. He's back on Friday's show. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.